Okay, right. What I'm going to go through in this video is actually where are we gone? Is actually a task that I set a couple of yous who seem to be quite ahead, and it was to use the random function, and you had to make a guess the number game. Right. So what I made available for you guys was a starting point, and the starting point was this. So let me just go ahead and edit this with idle. Here we go. So it was to use a random function in a program for a user to try and guess a number generated randomly by the program between 1 and 100. So this was a starting point. Let me explain the first line. The first line is calling a library of functions called random. And this is simply saying from random, the library, which is sitting somewhere in files, in program files somewhere, import everything. So import all the functions that belong in the random library. You can use certain functions already within Python, like your input and your print and so on, but some functions you have to call from other files that exist when you installed Python on your computer, on your laptop. When you installed it, there was some other files, and a bunch of those other files were things called libraries, and they contain functions. So in order to use the random functions, you've got to import the library first, and that's the line that we're going to use. So from random, import everything, and then generate a number, which is going to be a random integer. So you have to spell it exactly like this, a random integer between 1 and 100. Okay. And then it goes on and says guess equals integer input by the user, guess my number between 1 and 100, and then new line. Okay, so let me just go ahead and do a capital G for that. The file is just saved as guess my number starting. So let's just go ahead and run this and see what it does so far. Right, so guess my number between 1 and 100. Let's do 45. That's it. Nothing else is done because that's the extent to the program. Nothing else has been done. So we need to go ahead and make a program which will carry on requesting the user to guess a number until it gets it right, until the person gets it right. So let's go ahead and use a while loop to help us out with that. So it's going to be very similar to what we did for the Capital City of England program. So let's go ahead. Let me just make this a bit smaller here. Here we go. So while guess does not equal number, which has been randomly generated by the function. So while guess does not equal number, then print something like incorrect, and then we want them to guess again, so we can reset the variable of guess to the integer value of whatever they input. There we go. We can just leave it like this and just have guess again in there. Guess again. There we go. And let's just have a new line being entered there, so it's just a bit more user-friendly. So let's see what this does. Run module, okay. Here we go. Right, so guess my number between 1 and 100. Let's guess 45. Incorrect, guess again. 56. Incorrect, guess again. So, you know, you could potentially go ahead and enter 100 different numbers, potentially, and then you get it on the last guess. So we need to make this program a bit more user-friendly and give the user actually a chance. So in the actual instructions, it said if they're too high, then tell them they're too high. If their number is too low, then say that their number is too low. So we need to go ahead and put in an if or elif or else here. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So let me start. Let me just put that down there for a second and go ahead and start my if. So if guess is more than number, so if the guess is too high, then we want to let the user know that it's too high. So too high. Okay. So if it's too high, we obviously want them to guess again at that point. So I'm just going to put this here. Right. Let me just get rid of that. Obviously, there will be a case of too high, there will be a case of too low, and then there will be a case of, yeah, exactly matching. So if guess is more than number, then print too high. Okay, else The other instance would be too low because we're already kind of taking care of equals to, because it will break out of this, won't it? So else print too low. Oops. Oh, sorry. Speech marks. Else print too low, and then get them to guess again. If they actually guess the right number, then remember they break out of the loop and they go to some other code that is executed. So we might have something outside here saying correct, and that is it. Right, let's see what this does. Run module. Okay. Okay, guess my number between 1 and 100. Let's do 50, too low, 60, too low, 70, too low, 80, too high, 75, too high, 73, too high, so 73 is too high. Let me just pull this up. So it might be 72 or 71 then. 72, yay, correct, done. So it broke out of the loop when this was no longer the case. Okay, so as soon as guess did actually equal number, then it broke out of this loop and it jumped straight from here to here. Okay, so the loop means that it carries on going to the top line here and checks the condition. And it carries on going. Lovely. Okay, so that's the first part of the program. I think that's actually all the instructions were. I didn't want you to do anything else, but I think it would be quite good if you added a counter. So let me just get rid of this. So it would be quite cool if you can report at the end not only that they've got it correct, but how many guesses it took them. So we need to have some sort of, we need to have a counter, basically. So just here, I'm just going to let Python know I'm going to use a variable called count, and the current value of it is 0. Okay, and then as soon as you do that, Python knows that you want this to be treated like a number. Okay. Right, so let's move on. So if guess is more than number, then print too high, and then the value of count equals to whatever the original value is plus 1. Yep, then you can do the same here. Otherwise, if it's too low, you still want to increase the count by 1. So count equals the value of count plus 1. Another way to write this is simply this. Plus equals 1. It's the same thing, but this is just easier to understand. Yes, it's taken up a few more characters, but in this case it's minor. But this means that it's the same thing. If you only understand this and are getting confused by this, just use that instead, okay? But let me go ahead and run module, and let's see how long it takes for me to guess the number. And actually, just for the sake of this video, I'm just going to change this to 10. So we've just got less numbers, so I'll guess it quicker. Here we go. Right, guess my number between 1 and 100. It should say 1 to 10. You know it should. I haven't changed this line here, but anyway, I've only got from 1 to 10 to guess. Okay, so let's say 5. Too low, guess again. 6. Too low, guess again. 7. Too low, guess again. 9. Too low. What? 10. Too high, guess again. What have I missed? Oh, sorry, I misread what it said after 9. There you go, 8, correct. Okay, so I didn't do my other print statement here, so let me quickly get that done. So print, it took you, amazing. It took you, and then we can have the variable value of count there, and then finish it off with guesses. So it took you, number of guesses, guesses. There we go. And let me just sort this out up here as well for the sake of this program. So it's going to be 10 only, not 100. Run module. Okay. Let me just take this up here. Here we go. Guess my number between 1 and 10. 7. Too high. 6. Too high. 5. Too high. 3. Too high. 2. 1. It took you 5 guesses. There you go. So yeah, adding a count variable is actually not too difficult. So just please give that a jolly good go, but work through this program incrementally. So you know, first sort out your while, then sort out your selection, then introduce the count, and all should be well. Any questions, please ask.